Doors isn't my first novel, although it is the first one that I'm publishing as part of my Painting Lies self-publishing project. When I was 16, I wrote a novel called Eudaimonia, which I actually have a copy of. It's very embarrassing, which was self-published with the Daily Mail through a competition that they did, and that's this. And it's a fantasy novel about these characters who go to another world and there's a war there. It's not very good, but it was the first taste of publishing that I had, and that's what really set me down the road of wanting to write more and publish more in the future. I wrote a novel whilst I was at university, which was a comedy fantasy parody called Chronicles of Nom, which parodied all my favourite films and books such as Narnia and Lord of the Rings and things. And I've still got that up here in the box file, but that's never been published either, and that's also one that is pretty embarrassing in hindsight. But Doors is the first one that I'm completely happy with and I'm confident about publishing. It's going to be a 2-part novel, so Doors is the first half, and I'm currently working on the second part, which is going to be called Flipside, and between them I'll tell the whole story. Doors is just the first half, so a bit of a cliffhanger. I can't remember exactly what my major inspiration was in terms of getting the story started. I was sitting downstairs in my living room having a conversation with, I think, my mother and my brother, and the idea popped into my head, what if you woke up and there was a door in your bedroom that wasn't there before? And really that's all that I had to go on when I started writing it, and the characters and the rest of the plot came from there. But that's the question that got me started on the book, and I can't remember, I wish I could remember for the life of me what conversation we were having and why I would be thinking about doors. I can't remember what it was, but it must have been interesting. Got a whole book out of that one sentence, so, and the whole book is based around that question. I wish I had more to say about that. There's really no deeper meaning to it. It was just, what would you do if there was a door that hadn't been there before? And I took it from there. Not what I would do, because I brought in the characters, but there wasn't any profound, I didn't research what I wanted to write about, I just started writing from that question. It does have a connection. Doors is quite closely intertwined with several characters who appear in Fight the Sky. If you've read, then you'll know the character Rusty Halo, and also the character Constable Freeman, who appears in the story following Rusty Halo, Eyebridge. When I came to write Doors, I knew that I wanted a detective as a character, and I did try to create a new character, and the very, very early draft has a character called Roman in it who is a detective. But I couldn't get Rusty out of my head. He's always been one of my favourite creations. So I rewrote the beginning of what eventually became Doors with Rusty as the chief detective. And I created a partner for him, Dacre, who's an original character, and the setting of Ferris around that. But Rusty is very much who he is in the short story. And I just transported him into the setting of a novel where he could be more free and grow as a character, and he's really the main character. Gabriel, who's in that story, appears as well, and as I say, from another story, Freeman, and the setting that Eyebridge is setting, which is a village called Eyebridge, that also appears in the novel as well. So if you have already read the short stories going into Doors, you'll already be familiar with a lot of the settings and characters. But I mean, Doors is constructed in quite an interesting way. I wanted to set it out like a police report, because one of the characters, Dacre, is forever scribbling in his notebook, and he likes paperwork, and then he's going to type everything up afterwards. So I kind of wanted to present it to the reader as, this is Dacre's notebook. And there are appendices to the story, and I do include both short stories, Rusty Halo and Eyebridge, as appendices, slightly altered, but essentially the same. So even if you haven't read them, you can read Doors and still be introduced to Fight the Sky through that. Revolve, there is a poem in Revolve called Bloodsport, which also makes its way into Doors as an appendix. It just all came together when I was writing. It wasn't like me being self-indulgent, oh, I can reference my own work, I don't have to think of anything new. It's just sometimes it all comes together in your head and you think, like I've never really understood the poem Bloodsport. I wrote it in 2006 and it was a spur of the moment thing at university and I don't really know where it came from. But then when I get to the point in Doors where I use Bloodsport, it all made sense and I immediately thought of that poem and thought, this is what I wrote it for, this is where it belongs. So yeah, all of the books get tied into one, but if you haven't read the books, you can still read the pieces that it refers to as they do appear in Doors as well. Doors will be released on the 16th of July 2012, which is the day after my 24th birthday, and I can feel myself wrinkling as I say that already. It will be available as a physical paperback, priced $8.99, and you'll be able to get that from bookshops such as Waterstones, certainly in Birmingham, but hopefully other stores in the West Midlands will pick it up as well. And we have sold copies of Fight the Sky in like Southampton and other areas of the UK, so who knows, you'll certainly be able to order it at any Waterstones branch. And online, all good booksellers will sell it, so Waterstones.com, WH Smith, Amazon and Play.com will sell it as well. And you'll also be able to buy it from my website, which is paintinglies.com. If you buy it from me, you will get a signed copy, so don't feel shy about doing that. I'm also going to develop ebooks, because I've done ebooks for Fight the Sky and Revolve as well, and I was pleased with those. So there will be ebooks available direct from my Lulu store, from my website, Painting Lies as well. And my good friend is helping me develop a Kindle version. It's a little bit difficult because the book doesn't have a standard novel structure, if there is such a thing. It's got appendices and illustrations and things which are a little unusual, so he's going to help me piece it together so that it looks good on the Kindle as well. And hopefully that will be available at the same time, if not a little later in July, and I'm looking to price that around £2. Did I say the price of the paperback? The paperback will be $8.99. You can just edit that into the middle. Oh, you just flash it on the screen in like a yellow star.
$8.99.
To promote Doors, there's going to be a few things going on as well. From the 1st of April, I thought that April Fool's Day was an apt day to kick it all off. I'll be posting facts and excerpts from the book on paintinglies.com, my blog, and with the facts in the run-up to the release date, compiling like a Doors 101 fact file. The characters Rusty, Halo and Daconox are also going to have their own Twitter accounts, and they'll be tweeting to plug the book and get it out there to readers. So I'll announce on the website what their Twitter names are, and you can follow them and watch them argue with each other and get drunk together and stuff, so it'll be fun. Hopefully going to be doing an in-store event at a bookshop to promote as well. And on goodreads.com, which is a really good website for tracking books that you're reading, books that you'd like to read, I'm going to be doing a giveaway where hopefully going to be giving away 10 copies, and it's going to be open to everyone around the world. We did one for Revolve, which was very successful. I had over 700 entries in a month, so it'll be a similar thing with Doors. Hopefully try and crack the 1,000 mark and see how far I can send the books, because a copy of Revolve ended up in the Philippines and they even got back to me and let me know what they thought afterwards, so that's always good when that happens. Do a similar thing with Doors and give everybody a good free book. In the future, my immediate plans are, once Doors is done and dusted and published, I'd like to get started on the second story with Halo and Nox in. That's called Flipside, and it's an immediate continuation of the story in Doors, so I'm really not going to be taking a break in terms of writing. I've already started my first draft of Flipside and I can demonstrate that. So that's being done by hand at the moment, and once that's done, I'm very much one of those writers who it's all about the editing, and I like to pick it apart after I've got the first draft, so I kind of rush the first draft and then go back to it, and that's when the real work begins. So that's what I will do. And then once I've got this idea out of my system, I would probably like to take a break and a long hot bath and relax before starting on the next project. I'm not really sure if I want to write some more short fiction. I've got a lot of poetry that I'm writing at the moment, so maybe another book of poetry, but certainly an audio book for Revolve is in the works as well. Whether that happens before or after Doors comes out, I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe more poetry. There'll always be more. Never stop. I would like in the future as well to use Painting Lies as like a platform to publish other people. So I'm really comfortable with publishing my own work now, and I think the standard is good enough to maybe entice another writer out there who hasn't taken that step towards publishing yet to get published. If they want to see their book in a bookshop and available online, and want to see it edited and formatted professionally, I think that once I've got Doors and Flipside out of the way, I would maybe look at if there's somebody I know who wants to be published, putting together a book for them as well, and taking the first steps to publishing somebody else.